boy, today's show, we have Dr. Redlener, pediatrician. We have Fred Gutenberg, Parkland dad, and, of course, Karl Frisch, who is on the school board there in Virginia. And it's, look, we all are childless here, so I can't imagine dealing with actual children now and what you say. Eric Swalwell said yesterday, Carl, he finds himself having to lie to his kids about being safe in school. Because what else are you going to say? No, you should be scared. Go to school scared, right?
Well, I think people need to talk to their school boards. You know, the conversation's been monopolized by folks for the last 2 years. People can go to their school boards and ask what they're doing. You know, here in Fairfax County, we are notifying parents every year about their obligations under the law in Virginia to keep guns securely stored. The reason for that is that 70% of school shootings and other mass shootings happen with guns that are from the home. And so that's one place to start. You start thinking about what can local governments do? What can that, who can do what when Congress isn't acting because of Republican incalcitrance? So parents need to be notified about their obligations under various state laws to securely store their firearms. They need to be told or provided resources that help them have the conversation about guns. It is not an easy conversation for parents to have, but they can have it. And, when a kid goes over to play at a friend's house, the parent should be asking, tell us about your gun storage. If you have guns, we'll tell you about our gun storage. We need to stop, there are things we can do right now. And it isn't enough, but it's something. So there are things we can do right now.
And Carl, again, thank you for saying Republicans, because you have to identify the problem before you can solve it. Rachel Bidikofer said, if you want to help me out, every time you see a post bitching about Congress not doing anything about guns, hop in there with a Republicans in Congress. Eric Schultz tweeted, this is one of the biggest impediments to progress. Republicans figured out they can act with impunity because the media will always blame both sides. David Shore said, now might be a good moment to ask the news media be careful about referring to Congress inaction as distinct from Republicans' refusal to enact any form of gun safety measures.
Right.
I mean, vote every single one of them out. That's
what's on the line, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about this for weeks now. The looming Supreme Court decision. By the way, this is a court that has repeatedly made it easier for people to get these weapons of war. So, go to your school boards and talk to your school boards about what they're doing to keep kids safe. Talk to your members of Congress. If you live in a Republican area, ask them why they are standing in the way. Jerry Connolly, my congressman, I was at a vigil yesterday in front of the NRA, which used to be in my district, and because of redistricting, it isn't anymore.
Yeah.
The best thing that ever happened in redistricting. And we were at a vigil, and Congressman Jerry Connolly said that, it's almost every week that they're having a moment of silence in the House of Representatives because of gun violence in this country, almost every week.
Yeah.
And, you got to ask the Republican colleagues in that room, why are you not doing anything?
Well, ask them this before they go to the NRA thing tomorrow. John tweeted, if people kill people, not guns, why did the NRA ban guns from their event instead of the attendees?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see anyone ever ask Ted Cruz or anybody that question, right? How come guns are banned from the NRA event?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I just, okay. Peter Frampton, who does feel like we do, apparently. But it's just, Carl, how many of these can we cite? He just said 26 years ago, a gunman entered Dunblane Primary School in Scotland, killing 16 kids and a teacher. The UK government responded by enacting tight gun control legislation. In the 9,400 plus days since, there have been a total of 0 school shootings in the UK, right? Same in Australia. Yep. Same in, I don't know how many times, and I don't know what that argument just seems to bounce off Republicans, like, oh, none of that. We have our own. If you think, oh, America first, well, we did it here. We banned assault weapons. What is it gone up? Shootings have gone up 200 and something percentile since that expired. Gun control does work. And I'm tired of having to not say gun control and say gun safety or whatever they would like, however they would like us to politely phrase it as our 6-year-olds are being shot in the face with AR-15s, right?
Yeah, this is about gun violence, and it happens every single day. And we can do something about it. We just have to choose to do it. And that means Republicans in Congress getting off their hands, stop going to the NRA's convention, and how about you write some legislation with the Democratic majority to solve this problem, or at least try to solve this problem. Right now, they won't even inconvenience somebody in the purchasing of their firearms.
I share David Hogg's optimism, maybe because I'm the original happy clappy liberal. I don't know whether it's critical mass. I don't know whether it's changing demographics or generational, Karl, but I do think this time is going to be different if we vote. And I feel like this is going to be a boiling point between women's rights, and this is about minority rule, over the majority of us, 90% of us that want background checks, 70% of us that want Rhodestan, on and on, right? Beguiler
red flag laws.
Beguiler tweeted, do you think if we referred to what happened in Texas was 19 abortions that happened in the 40th trimester, Republicans would do something then? I mean, that's kind of the crux of this midterm, isn't it?
It is. And like I said, demand change from the top down and the bottom up everywhere. Here in Fairfax, I'm co-sponsoring a measure to ban firearms from administration buildings. We didn't have that ability to do it until Democrats gave it to us last year. So they've always been, for decades been banned in our schools, but now we're going to ban them from administration buildings too. Find out what you can do at the local level while we're waiting for Congress to do the right thing. Stephanie, I feel like it's been 20 years since you and I marched in Washington after Parkland.
Doesn't it feel like it?
It's only been 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what Eric Swalwell said, and I just feel like any parent, doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, can understand this. If you want to have to stop lying to your children, right? Yeah, I have it.
Right now, as a parent of 3 young children, and one of them is just starting to ask questions about these shootings, I find myself in a position where I'm lying to my kids. And every parent in America right now is lying to their kids. If you're telling your kid they're going to be safe at their school and everything's going to be okay, it's a lie. And who wants to lie to their kids? But right now, the truth is, not by a policy defect, but by design of the Republican Party in this country, every kid in every classroom is exposed and vulnerable to a shooting.
Yeah, be honest with yourself. Can you look your kid in the eye and say, oh, no, honey, you're safe. Don't you worry. You're safe. It's not going to happen to you. Can you say that? Can any parent?
The truth is that school administrators and school boards are doing everything they can to keep kids safe, but we're not getting the help we deserve.
Yeah. By the way, you and I have talked about this whole, teaching that gay people exist or racism is bad. That was supposed to be their big issue in this midterm, that, God forbid, and Steve summed it up on Twitter. So I look forward to hearing the same folks who've been insisting teachers can't be trusted to decide how and what to teach their students now argue that the solution to school shootings is for those same teachers to be armed. So now you would like them to also be Navy SEALs, but they can't be trusted on curriculum, right? Yeah.
Look, in order for parents to be involved in schools, their kids still have to be in school.
Yeah. Yes. And alive. Right. Somebody else said, Stacy said the same thing. Just so I'm clear, we trust teachers to fight madmen armed with AR-15s and to die to protect our children, but we don't trust them to know what curriculum to teach. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought of that. With all this teacher bashing now suddenly, and again, Karl, if ever we have laid to rest this good guys with a gun, it's this one. There was a security guard there. Police were there already. They were in pursuit of him. There were, I don't even know what to say. It's just the fact that they can still utter that yesterday is amazing to me.
And I think we need to make sure that we're not fooling ourselves. This is going to keep happening until it doesn't anymore because somebody did something about it.
Can I ask, so of course, Ted Cruz, leave it to him to identify the real problem, which is doors. There's too many doors. What did he say? There should only be one door? I mean, Karl, practically though, I was saying until we do something about guns, I guess we do have to make schools like prison. I mean, are the doors locked on your schools? I don't. Yeah. I mean, I guess this was a back door or something. But yeah, what is the policy? I'm just curious at your school.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's different from school division to school division, but we have, our doors locked and we have buzzers to grant people entry. So
Yeah.
I will say that months ago, with a colleague, I authored a proposal to review all of our safety practices, all of our curriculum around gun violence prevention and suicide prevention, all of our professional development around those things. And I think every school division should be doing this. Many probably haven't touched those issues since Sandy Hook. And this is a perfect opportunity to dive back in and make sure we're still doing everything we can.
Yeah. I just,
but again,
honestly, emotionally,
we need help.
Yeah, emotionally. I don't know how much more of this we can survive as a nation. Like I was saying, when you see all the comedians, news anchors crying on TV, and you see this story yesterday, I couldn't even, on CNN, the father that found out his daughter was dead from her blood-soaked best friend who was crying hysterically. I mean, the extent to which we're already traumatizing our kids through the live shooter drills that I'm sure you have to do, and however many kids have survived these and what they've seen is just... And again, this
It's
whole,
horrifying.
we don't have to live this way. We don't have to live this way. Like I was just talking to a friend from Ukraine that said they asked someone in Ukraine about this, and they're just like, we're at war with ourselves. They don't get it. They're like, what? Why? Isn't that what we're asking?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I have a new friend that said, well, I guess it's terrible. I just guess there's nothing we can do about it. I'm like, yes, there is. We can vote out every single Republican. There is absolutely something we can do. But that's it. That really is it. There is one party stand, and it didn't, as you know, Carl, you came from a Republican family, so did I. It didn't used to be that way. The assault weapons ban was bipartisan to some degree, right? I mean, it did not used to be this way.
No, and look, it's kind of like the Trump effect. There are Republicans who are no longer in power, like Bill Frist, who are coming out in favor of sensible gun violence prevention legislation. But it's the ones that are in power that are cowards. They won't defy Trump. They won't defy the NRA because they're more concerned about keeping their jobs than keeping kids safe.
Yeah.